Now on River Region Evening Edition. Good news for cities and lottery winners as the state makes payments despite no budget. Medical marijuana patients are driving for hours to use the new dispensary in Marion.
This is medicinal cannabis. It is tested, it is pure, it is cultivated.
And fast food workers went on a nationwide strike to bring attention to low pay.
News from around the world, across the nation, and here in the River Region. This is the award-winning Student Newscast, coming to you live from Southern Illinois University. River Region Evening Edition begins now.
Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner is compromising on one major aspect of the state's budget mess. Thanks for joining us. I'm Cody Essian.
And I'm Zach Barrett. He's okayed the Democrats' legislation to distribute tax dollars already collected to local governments and lottery winners. The first-term Republican governor sent a memo to his staffers supporting the legislation, even suggesting they add more money for things like road salt. The plan includes $1.9 billion collected in motor fuel tax for cities, wireless phone tax for 911 services, and lottery dollars to pay winners. Rauner and Democrats have feuded over a spending plan since the fiscal year began on July 1st. Crowds lined up outside the Harbury Medical Marijuana Dispensary in Marion again today. Evening Edition reporter Brittany Hardaway spoke with some patients and the owner of the facility, and she's live in the newsroom with the story.
Many Illinois residents were outside waiting for hours before the doors opened, and some people tell me it was worth the wait. The Harbury Medical Cannabis Dispensary has been a relief for some Illinois residents.
I'm just glad it's open. We've been waiting a long time. You know, I've been traveling up here every month. 4 hours every month.
I think that I'm pretty impressed with the progress so far. It took a little bit of time, but everyone that's I've talked to has been extremely helpful. And it's been a little bit faster than I anticipated. So now that it's finally open, I'm excited to see what's next.
Although the opening has finally happened, many people still struggle with the registration process.
It was a little difficult, a little bit tricky. There was a lot of approval that needed to be done. You had to take a lot of steps. But for my husband and I, it was fairly easy. We got a lot of help.
The Harbury was the first marijuana dispensary to be issued a license right here in Southern Illinois. Now about 3,300 Illinois residents have a medical condition which qualifies for treatment with cannabis.
I think they will be more functional. I think there's a much less addictive factor, and I feel that it is safer. If you look at the overdoses that's been going on with narcotics and the overuse of narcotics, you just have to look at the statistics to realize where medicinal cannabis may have, and indeed, a role in this.
I'd rather have something man-made that goes out of the ground than man-made in a factory.
The dispensary has received some opposition about the need for the substance.
A lot of prejudices. I think there's a lot of preconceived notions. I think people think that this is the gateway drug.
It's like I can still move around. Pain medicine kind of just makes me sit back sometimes, it does help me get through difficult stuff, but the smoke seems like it gets me moving.
While medical marijuana brings concerns, there are still others who believe this will benefit the economy.
Such an amazing cure and such a huge step forward for the state in general. I think it'll really help the community quite a bit.
What we're advocating is these people have tried everything and nothing else has helped, and we really just want to be able to have this as an alternative.
Many people are still experiencing problems with receiving medical cannabis identification cards, but Harbury employees are working to help patients with the registration process. Live in the newsroom, Brittany Hardaway.
Thank you, Brittany. Investigators have found no sign of foul play in the death of a Marion 3-year-old. A coroner says there is no obvious signs of foul play, though authorities will wait for a toxicology report before ending their investigation. Police were called to a home on South Future Street yesterday morning where the child was showing no response. The Child Death Task Force is among the agencies investigating the girl's death. Well, it was a nice fall day out today, Cody, don't you think?
It really was. Let's take it to Sydney Kessler and have a closer look at weather.
You're right, guys. It was a beautiful day out, and as you can see tonight, we're gonna have clear skies as we're gonna continue to move into the night. However, tomorrow morning is where we are expecting some big storms. Tomorrow morning, partly cloudy with a high of 46, but by midday, this is when we're going to start seeing those storms. Those storms should spread out around 6 p.m. tomorrow night, and folks, they're not going to be pretty. You're going to want to keep your umbrella out, keep your rain boots, and take some shelter if needed because tornadoes are possible tomorrow, but I will tell you all about that in my full forecast coming right up.
Williamson County Sheriff Benny Vick says he's opening the sheriff's range for hunters getting ready for deer season. Hunters will be able to bring their own shotguns, muzzle loaders, and pistols to the range. Hunters will also be able to bring their own targets to the range, but there will also be targets available for use at the facility. The range opens to the public from 8 a.m. in the morning till 5 in the afternoon on Sunday, November 14th, and is located in Marion. Governor Bruce Rauner is reversing his position on funding the Child Care Assistant Program and is easing restrictions on who qualifies for the program. He says pending legislation is too costly, but some Democrats and advocates for the program want a long-term guarantee. The governor also reached an agreement with labor and business groups about changes to unemployment insurance.
Fast food workers stage a nationwide strike for a higher minimum wage. We'll hear from local workers when we come back.
And police captain is in big trouble for openly supporting the legalization of marijuana.
Hundreds of cities across the nation today in an effort to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. USA Today reports the walkouts marked the largest show of force in the 3 years since they launched a series of rallies asking for higher pay and the right to unionize. We caught up with SIU student Rebecca Arsenblatt to ask if she thought the minimum wage should be raised to $15.
I don't think so because I know other jobs that require a higher skill level that don't get paid as much. I think that's a little too much.
The strike started in New York and has since spread to other parts of the country.
Family members of a
Mattoon
serviceman who died in Vietnam are working to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. A ceremony will be held tomorrow on Veterans Day to dedicate a new flagpole at the memorial grounds at the city's Peterson Park to honor Corporal Nielsen Earl Van Gundy. He was Coles County's first fatality in the Vietnam War. His brother, Harold, and family members raised money to replace a 50-year-old flagpole located inside the park. Gundy's family is also gathering pictures of 17 fallen service members whose names are currently listed on the park monument, so their image will be matched with their names. The hope is to have the project completed by Memorial Day. The University of Illinois is expected to make a decision on whether a former professor was hired in the first place. Stephen Saleta claims he was fired from Illinois because of anti-Muslim comments he made on Twitter regarding Muslim military action against the Palestinians. Saleta claims he was hired as a tenured professor at that point, which would protect his freedom of speech. The Christmas lights on the state Capitol dome will be lit despite the state budget fight. 3 unions have donated $7,300 to pay the cost of the light bill. Illinois Secretary of State Jesse White said the annual tradition would be skipped this year because the lights are unnecessary amid the state budget problems. The union donation means the lights will be on.
The longtime music director at the Opera Theater of St. Louis is transitioning to a new role with the company. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that Stephen Lord will become the music director at the end of 2017, which would be his 25th season in charge. Lord, who is 66 years old, says the changes have been in the works for some time. General Director Timothy O'Leary says the company has no immediate plans to look for a successor, but said he is evaluating the company's structure between now and the 2017 season. He will become the artistic director for the Young Artist Program and will continue to lead main season productions as long as his schedule allows. The GOP presidential hopefuls are constantly shifting field at tonight's 4th Republican debate in Wisconsin. This is how the top of the Republican field appeared during the first GOP debate back in August, but things have changed since then. Scott Walker has dropped out, Carly Fiorina moved up, and Chris Christie and Mike Huckabee are headed to Tuesday's undercard debate on the Fox Business Network. Donald Trump is still center stage, but leading the group, but with less breathing room. The latest CNN ORC poll of Iowans show him with 25% support, Ben Carson 2 points behind, and then Marco Rubio at 13%. Most of the candidates are spending hours before the debate. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, out of the public eye, with the exception of Rand Paul, who's talking about charter schools.
A police captain in Ohio is taking serious heat for openly supporting marijuana legalization while on the job. Captain Reinheimer posted a picture of his badge with a "I support legalization" button pinned above it. He was immediately suspended, but he has not changed his mind. He wore the button while running a police auction, which violated the police department's rules and regulations.
Auction on Saturday, and it's not allowed by the rules and regulations of the police department or the city to wear any kind of political activity button or shirt or anything like that.
The officer is suspended with full pay while an internal investigation is underway.
Funeral services are scheduled today for a 9-year-old Chicago boy who police say was lured into an alley and shot. 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee was killed last week. Authorities say the child was targeted because of his father being a member of a gang that was in conflict with a rival gang. No one has been arrested, and activists are offering a $35,000 reward and relocation for anyone with information leading to the boy's killer.
50 sheriffs from Colorado are sending a letter to the White House opposing any plan to move detainees from the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center to prisons in their state. They say Colorado would be in danger if the Pentagon sends detainees to 2 prisons being considered. The sheriffs fear the detainees could attract sympathizers who would mount an attack or commit other acts of terror. The Pentagon is also looking at sites in Kansas and South Carolina as locations to move 53 GTMO detainees. Congress would have to approve the Pentagon's proposal. We have some significant weather heading out. We'll have the next 5-day forecast coming up next.
And Wall Street closed this afternoon with mixed results. Get more business news at 5:30 on the Nightly Business Report.
High of 58 and a low of 42 with showers possible at night. I know, probably not what you guys wanted to hear, but just make sure to keep your umbrella handy.
Every day, tomorrow, take cover.
Take cover tomorrow, you know.
All right, thank you, Sydney.
Thanks, guys.
SIU football attendance is at an all-time low in numbers.
And the Blues head to the East Coast for their matchup tonight. Orlando Totally has more in sports.
Stood out with a completed 27 of 40 passes for 300 yards and 41 yards exactly. The Chargers will go on to have a bye week, while the 3-5 Bears will go on to face the St. Louis Rams.
All right, thank you, Orlando.
You're welcome.
We'll check the chances of severe weather tomorrow when we come back.
And find out what is making the news in the days ahead. We'll be right back in 90 seconds.
Here's some of the stories making news in the days ahead. SIU men's basketball team plays the Air Force Saturday at the SIU Arena. Coal mines in Galatia are shutting down with devastating effects feared for the community and laid off workers. And tomorrow is Veterans Day. SIU is closed for observance, so we will see you next Thursday at 5. All right, Sydney, can we get one last look at the weather?
Well, of course, only for you guys. Well, this Wednesday, tomorrow, this is those severe weather I was talking about. You want to keep those umbrellas out, folks. There are chances of tornadoes. The rest of the week will be beautiful, and Sunday, just a little chance of showers.
All right, Sydney, thank you very much.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching us tonight. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at River Region News. I'm Zach Barrett.
And I'm Cody Essian. For Sydney Kessler, Orlando Toley, and more than 100 students who work on Evening Edition, good night.